This is IGN. Sensation unknown. Why they made another Tron? Also unknown. This is your IGN review of Tron Ares by Clint Gage. I wish I could say Tron Ares picked up where Tron Legacy left off in 2010, continuing the story of both the Flynn family and the interesting question posed by the film's final shot. What happens when programs from the grid show up in the real world? Tron Ares instead seems intent not only on ignoring Legacy completely, but also misreading what made the original such an icon in the first place. Tron as a franchise is a curious thing to me. The original is an undeniable cult classic. Not a flop, not quite a hit. It didn't gain a following until later. It may seem like a campy little blast watching it now, but in 1982, it was cutting edge in all the ways. From the computer graphics on screen to the questions it raised about computers, a technology that society in general didn't really know where we were going with at the time. The sequel, made nearly 30 years later, did a fine enough job following that up, but now, 15 more years on, it's hard to tell why or for whom another Tron movie's been made. I promise this isn't going to be all about the first Tron, but it does have a bearing on what I think the near-total failure of Tron Ares is about, a misunderstanding of the franchise and what makes it interesting in the first place. It's also not technically me that's constantly bringing up the first Tron. Ares is determined in its attempts to honor that film, but to what end? For example, it features both a completely functional recreation of Kevin Flynn's old office in the middle of Encom's headquarters, as well as his actual old office in Flynn's arcade. And it's the facsimile of the thing that plays a bigger role in the film than the original thing itself, which makes for a truly unfortunate metaphor for why this movie is so uninteresting. Ares follows another battle for control over tech corporation Encom, and there's another Dillinger in one corner as the antagonist, opposed by Encom CEO and brand new character to the franchise, Eve Kim. Greta Lee as Eve is doing good work, as is Evan Peters, who seems to be having a blast chewing scenery as Julian Dillinger. The film sets up a plucky cohort for Eve, played by Arturo Castro, a mother for Julian, played by Gillian Anderson, and a MacGuffin for them both to chase, plus a ticking corporate clock to keep in mind. It's all very familiar territory narratively. Now, if that were all there was to the central conflict of the movie, maybe the film could have mined it more effectively, but it would still be missing the point of Tron in general. There's a counterculture aspect to the original movie that this installment is missing completely. Kevin Flynn was just a talented dude who would later become the dude from whom a corporate stiff stole everything. That's as relatable a story as there is, which is enormously important for a film about being zapped into a computer to play death sports with anthropomorphic programs. With Ares, though, and the warring billionaire CEOs, there's nothing quite so likable about their conflict. There's a clear hero, a clear villain, but outside of the fact that we're all aware that's how movies are supposed to work, there's nothing much to care about anywhere in their story. The other thing worth talking about here is the decision to bring most of the movie out into the real world. Even though the end of Tron Legacy raised that question with Quora, played by Olivia Wilde, coming out of the grid with Sam, played by Garrett Hedlund, Ares makes it clear from the opening moments that none of that movie's story matters. That's not to say Quora and Sam deserve better or that Legacy was some unimpeachable second chapter that should not be ignored. It's that there was no real need to deal with the same issues from scratch. There was groundwork for a third movie effectively laid out already, and yet the third movie we got attempted to set up the same idea on its own. It's actually much clunkier to write off the events of Legacy than to just pick them up and continue them. So, spoiler alert, Tron Ares is getting a 5, and honestly, I bumped that up from a 4 just because of how good the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack is. For a film franchise born from cutting-edge ideas and visuals, this third feature film chapter is a far cry from the cult classic's ambitions from over 40 years ago. With little to offer outside of nostalgia and a banger of a Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, it wastes solid work from some of its leads on ideas the film should have been self-aware enough to avoid, and maybe misses the point of the franchise altogether. Tron Ares is a concentrated effort to remember the original Tron, but in doing so, all it does is make a hollow, albeit functional, facsimile of it in its corporate high-rise. The good news is, like the real Flynn's arcade on the other side of town, 1982's Tron is still out there. Tron Ares' IGN score? 5 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest updates on all things Tron, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.